Hey, today, guys, we're gonna review or view an interview from Jordan Peterson. I think in terms of talking about men against nonsense. Welcome back, by the way, guys. Talking about men against nonsense, we have to deal with this concept that everybody wants to talk about is toxic masculinity, which is a lie and a fraud, and we really need to deal with it. But instead of reinventing the wheel, I know that Jordan Peterson has been talking about this topic for the last couple of years, so just let him do it, and we'll comment, we'll glean from it, we'll see what we can learn, we'll see what we can apply. By the way, if you ever check the description of our videos, it's always educational and it's real life application, because that's what I want you to do. I want you to take these conversations. I want you to really apply them to your lives and help other men apply it. Right? Real life application. But let's see what Jordan Peterson has to say here.
Fans, and we got the impression they were all male fans, that the ones that we talked to, and that they were struggling with their manhood, and that you give them this message that it's okay to be a man.
It's not okay. It's necessary.
Absolutely.
What the hell are we going to do without men? You look around the city.
what would we do without men? Men built the world, man. The world built it. And again, women were right there alongside men, but they didn't build it. They nurtured the children. They were the reason why the next generation was able to be born. But as far as the physical labor that built this world, you can look at secular human history, and it shows you that there's tremendous amount of evidence that it was men that were used to do the building of this world. Okay, no matter which culture you're looking at, it's typically men, right? There may be some outliers that I'm not familiar with, and some feminists will leave me a comment in this video with the one society where women built it with their physical labor and ignore all the other hundreds of civilizations and societies and groups that existed throughout the time of human history, and just totally ignore that just to make one point. So you make, let's say, one out of 100 is 1%. It's insignificant when there's 99% to compare it to. So hey, whatever.
Here you see all these buildings go up. These men, they're doing impossible things. They're under the streets, working on the sewers. They're up on the power lines.
Absolutely.
In the storms and the rain. They're keeping this impossible infrastructure functioning. This thing that works in miraculous
I tell you what. If you ever go to an office building, and just pay attention and just make a mental survey of who's working at the desks or behind the counters. There are some men, but it's usually women. Now you ask yourself, who built the desk, or who built the building to place the desks in? Men. And there are some like women carpenters and electricians, but they're far and few in between when we talk about a percentage of a population of those trades and groups of individuals doing that work. So when we say that manliness or masculinity is toxic, it's stupid. It's actually self-destructive. It's like, men go do everything except for what men will historically do, which was, build the world better, or try to build the world better. We failed at doing it plenty of times, but especially when it comes to culture, but that's another conversation. But when we just talk about infrastructure, it took a lot of, masculine labor and power to do that. Men stepping up to do that, to make the water systems and the electrical grid and even the farming infrastructure. Men.
They work themselves to death, and often literally, and the gratitude for that is sorely lacking, especially among the people who should be most grateful. You see university professors, especially of the social justice bent, who are among the most protected and privileged people that the world has ever produced. They take everything they have for granted, failing to understand entirely that there's a massive infrastructure of unbelievably hardworking,
Absolutely.
solidly laboring, working class men breaking themselves in
Yep.
half on a regular basis, making sure that everything that always breaks works.
Yep.
And so a little gratitude for that is in order. And it's
And if those men weren't manly, if I could use it, those men weren't manly, you wouldn't have these intellectual types even available, or they wouldn't have the space to exist as they are, right? And when I say the space, I mean the infrastructure, as he mentioned, the buildings, okay, the classrooms where these professors pontificate about all this weird philosophy, which is actually destroying Western society. They wouldn't even have it if it wasn't for the ultra manly man getting out there and sweating and grinding and pouring concrete and framing up walls and doing the roofing and all of that. All right? It's insane. Again, it's self-destructive. They just don't see it. Or maybe they don't care. Maybe they want to self-destruct.
very useful to tell everyone, not just men, that they have an important role to play, a necessary role, and that if they act properly and honestly and forthrightly, that they can put their lives together and they can help their families.
And let me stop there. And I like what Jordan Peterson mentioned here. He's talking about, and again, this is my first time watching it, but he noticed he didn't leave character out. He just wasn't just about physical capability, being strong. It's about a manly character. Let's take that back a few seconds and let him go over that again. Listen to what he points out, which makes a man a man.
Rightly, that they can put their lives together and they can help their families and they can make their communities better, and that's not toxic masculinity, that appalling phrase. It's what keeps the world going round. If we had any sense, we'd understand that instead of doing everything at every possible moment to label what we have in the West as oppressive and patriarchal and fundamentally predicated on power, of all the insane propositions.
But what's wrong with the patriarchy anyway? So that's how I don't know if maybe Jordan would disagree with me on that, but I'm not here to smooth another man and make him feel good about all his ideas and thoughts. But what's wrong with the patriarchy in the first place, right? So we said, let's say, okay, Western culture is built on male patriarchy, but what's wrong with that? What's actually wrong with that? What's wrong with that? Isn't that the reason why all the feminists even exist today? Like, if there wasn't a male patriarchy that organized itself to take care of women rather than allowing women to be captured, taken, raped, so on and so forth. Like, the male patriarchy of the Western society hasn't been as destructive as people claim. It actually has been one of the vehicles, like men standing up as patriarchs, as leaders of their families, has been the reason why Western culture has even thrived. That's just the facts. That's just the facts. But hey, that's a short clip. We'll check some more Jordan Peterson out. But just think about that. There's nothing toxic about standing up and leading your family. Nothing toxic about that. You guys have a good one.